What I've got here is the skulls that I drew up for this particular paint job. You can see I've got this is going to be on the big fenders for the trike. Front fender, these will be on the tops of the side skirts and also on the tank. I'm using the same size on that. What I've got here on the lower part is these are the cutouts to put the eyeballs in with the ghost pearl, to where when the light hits it, these things will pop out at you. Directly across, come over here, and I just keep a little bit of black base coat. Put me a little dot on here. Don't take much. And what I do with this is rub it on here. That way we get exactly what we have on here, and you can see it good. Okay, I cut this skull out here, drew it up in Corel Draw, and exported it out as an Adobe Illustrator file and brought it into FlexiSign to cut. This one here will be used on the front fender. You'll see I sprayed the fender and the other parts, shot some yellow so I could lay this on top in yellow, shoot the fire around it. So I did leave these eye sockets open and the part top of the nose socket as well. There is a lower part here that I'm going to keep covered up just for this first washing of candy. Okay, we have some black base coat sprayed on some rear fenders of a trike, and I sprayed a chrome yellow over some spots of the black. Kind of looks strange right now, but these are where the skull templates will be placed, and I'll do my first layer of fire, which will be done in Molly Orange, and then we will peel the masking off and detail the skull. The green lines that you see in the middle of the fenders are actually the center points of the fenders, and I'm lining my templates up. Once this template is pushed down all the way around the edges, I'll remove the rest of the tape that I used to find the middle section and start with my Molly Orange. What I'm doing here is I'm just working, just trying to get a flow for the fire on how I want it to look. I didn't want to go just straight up with the fire. I wanted to give it a little dramatic look, so I kind of angled it a little bit just to give it a little bit of motion. Using the Vega airbrush here, siphon feed, and works very well because I don't have to fill this paint reservoir up. It just sucks it right out and makes it very easy. I can just keep going. I don't have to stop to fill up. Okay, once all this orange is laid, I'm going to go back and do the same thing with a chrome yellow. After the chrome yellow is done, I put a light wash of candy orange, and this is what I end up here. You can see the darker areas in the fire. Those were the first layer of Molly orange. Okay, then I put the yellow, brought it back with the orange candy, and you can see I removed the mask on the skulls. And I did push some of the eye sockets back, a little shadow on top of the head crown and forehead a little bit, and just to give the skull a little bit of dimension. And I used the same orange that I did for the candy wash over the fire. Now the fire's not done at this point, but this is where I start putting the white in the skulls to really get some definition. If you look to the right here, this fender is pretty much laid out in the white. That's going to be the brightest points on the skulls to actually give it dimension. Okay, I'm using the Renegade Spirit airbrush gun here. Very fine detail airbrush gun. It's probably my favorite gun that I own. Very nice balance on it. Really just a great machine. Also made in the USA, so that's always a plus. And what I'm doing is I'm using a really thinned out white, and the way I like to thin my white out is I take a straight white and I cut it with a mixture, and my mixture goes, I use a balancing clear or a base clear, if you will. Different companies call them different things, and there's different paint numbers for that, but anyway, I like to mix that 1:1 with reducer. So I take the base maker or base clear 1:1, and then I put about a little less than half of actual pigment in that mix. So it's almost like a 2:1, 1 part paint to the 2 parts base maker with reducer in it, and that makes it thin enough and also transparent enough to where it gets off the needle good, and you can pop in a lot of detail. And yet when you hammer on it, it's still pretty opaque. Now sometimes my mix varies depending on what colors you know, how much highlights I'm trying to get out of it and what kind of colors I'm mixing with it. But for this, what I'm doing with these yellows and stuff, it seems to work pretty well. almost wrapped up on the white on this piece. You can see the cheekbones are pretty well defined now. A couple little lighter areas of white just to give a little bit more dimension, like to the forehead and stuff. And you notice the top of the skull, there's hardly any white, besides just the cracks. But that's just, I want that really to be pushed back. So this piece is pretty much wrapped up as far as the white goes. We're going to go ahead and jump to the top skull on here. Now if you notice, I've got in the background, I've got the other one already done, so I turn that fender around, and as I'm working on the one right in front of me, I keep that one as my reference because I'm trying to match them up pretty close. Of course they'll have little differences in them, but that's fine. But I'm just trying to get them really close, make sure the highlights are all the same on both sides. Okay, I'm working on the teeth here. My light source is coming from the front of the skull, so the front of these teeth are going to have a little bit brighter sheen to them from the light hitting them directly. Now I am catching a light highlight on the back of the tooth too, but just wanted to really kind of bring that to everyone's attention that I'm really playing up these shapes. I'm constantly thinking about where my light source is at. I'm switching over to my head mount camera. That way you can kind of get a view from my eyes on what I'm looking at. I'm left-handed, so you can tell that I kind of hold my airbrush at an angle. That way I can see what's going on with where the paint and the needle is pointing. Okay, at this point all the white is done on these pieces. I'm wrapping it up now. From here, what I did is loaded up my Vega again with some candy yellow, and I'm just throwing a light wash over these skulls to kind of push them back a little bit. That way it's killing the white and it's not fighting with the fire. I'm trying to make it all one piece. And from here, what I've done is mixed me up a root beer candy, and I mixed that also with a balancing clear or a base clear 1-to-1, and then I usually use about anywhere from 10 to 25% depending on how dark I want it. Right here I've probably got it about 15% candy in that mix, and so what that does is it makes it semi-transparent, so I can use it as an opaque if I really hammer on it, or I can use it lightly for light shading, so it's really versatile. After the root beer candy is done, I switch back to my thinned out white mixture, and what I'm doing now is just popping in highlights, and this really makes it dance. I mean, this really brings it to that next dimension. And so you can see as I'm adding white to this stuff, little areas here and there, it makes things start coming forward to the viewer. So it's a constant push-pull with the darks and the lights, and where to put them. And you can see, I mean, it's just really starting to build up. Okay, we're wrapping up the white highlights on the skulls, and just pulling those last couple things forward. And you can see we've got these pieces all wrapped up as far as the detail work inside the skulls. So far we started off with the yellow, put our masking down, which was the chrome yellow, and then we did a layer of moly orange fire, followed by a layer of the chrome yellow fire, washed that back with a little tangerine candy, unpeeled the masking of the skulls, went white, did another yellow candy wash over the skulls, and brought in a root beer candy, and then more highlights. Now I've switched back over to my chrome yellow again, and I'm starting to really play with the fire now. The skulls are done, so I work pretty quickly at this point, but I'm also being very careful on where my skulls are at because I don't want to ruin the detail work that I already put into that. Okay, I want you to notice that I'm looking back and forth a lot as I'm working, just trying to stay consistent with each side. I'll work one side a little bit, then I'll look back to the other side, and try and make these things look pretty close to each other, just for consistency's sake. Once we wrap up with this chrome yellow layer of fire, I'm going in on the ends of it, and I'm starting with my thinned out white again. Same white that I used earlier. It's kind of a semi-transparent white, and what I'm doing is I'm building up this layer of white, and then I end up putting a blue candy over that. So I'm just kind of doing the tips. I'm not going all the way towards the skulls with this white mixture. Just kind of building up basically all of the edges of the fire, just creating that new layer of blue burning fire. Also, as I'm laying this white fire layer down, I'm also letting some overspray kind of kill that yellow that was underneath it. Once I put the blue candy on this, it'll sit nicely on top, and it'll still be a little transparent. But I don't want this blue candy to sit on that yellow and turn to a green. switching to my blue candy now. The candy that I'm using here is a blue-green shade. Some might call it oriental blue. Just depends what company you get it from. But it's got the green shade to it. The cobalt blues are more of the red shade, so this is the green shade. And what I'm doing here is I'm putting one layer kind of lightly, because I'm kind of watching how these candies are interacting, being careful not to get it on the yellow. And what I'll end up doing is once I put a layer of this, I'll look at it and end up putting another layer on it to really darken it up a little more. But you can see how this overspray is really just blended in using this blue candy. This is the second layer of blue. You can see I'm really darkening it up on the edges some. Not really going over too much of it where it's close to the yellows. But you can see it's adding a whole nother dimension to this. At this point all the blue fire is done, and I switched back to my candy yellow, and I'm going over the yellow that I did previously just to kind of blend all this together, and it brings out the oranges also in the fire, makes everything look a lot brighter. At this point I cut out another mask to where I can spray the eyeball in. I'll be mixing up some base clear again, 1-to-1 with reducer, and putting about 15% of a ghost yellow pearl, and I'll just mix that in with the airbrush. and when the light hits it, this pearl will be activated and you'll see the eyeball. In order to do that, I'm taping up what's called a tape wall. That way I don't get any overspray on anything that I've already done. Okay, I'm back with the Vega airbrush again, siphon feed, and I'm just barely misting in these eyes, not putting too much. I went around twice, 2 very light coats, let that dry about 15 minutes, and now you can see I'm removing all the masking. At this point, all of the artwork is complete. I brought back my big gun and I just mixed up some more of the black that was the original base coat. And what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning up some of the edges. I got it shooting at a very, very low PSI, thinned out pretty good. Just really taking my time, trying not to kill any artwork, and just trying to bring all of this really dark black back into the piece. After the black, I mixed up some more of the base clear, 1:1 with reducer, and I'm just coating all of the artwork, trying to seal it all up. That way none of these candies will bleed. Some of the clears that you use are pretty aggressive, and some of the candies will pull through. So I like to put 2 good coats on there. And then after the clear coat, you can see out here, all the colors look very nice. You can see the eyeballs coming out in the sun. And none of the colors bled through. Everything reads very well, and these are ready for buffing. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you learned quite a bit. It was a pleasure being able to share some of this stuff. If you have any questions, please check out my website, www.fullblownpaint.com. There's a contact tab. I'll be happy to help you in any way possible. Thank you.